Welcome to episode number 7 of the State of the Fans podcast. I'm your host, Shane Harper, alongside Ian Copey. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm doing great today, wearing my red pinstripe Phillies jersey with a number 12 on the back of it.
It's not the biggest news of the week. Not Taylor Swift getting engaged to Travis Kelce. Not anything that happened earlier this week, including the Philadelphia Phillies. It was last night, Kyle Schwarber, a 4 home run game, a grand slam away from the home run cycle, the 21st player in MLB history to have 4 home runs in one game, and the first Philly to do it in nearly 50 years. Did last night against the Atlanta Braves to raise his home run total to 49, which is now the second most in a single season in Phillies history, his most in a single season in his career, and he also now has 119 RBIs on the year, which leads the major leagues.
I tell you what, all around special night for Kyle. Sweet swing after sweet swing. Bryson Stott didn't have to fly out on his at bat in the seventh inning. There we had a real shot at a home run cycle. But hey, 4 home runs, still absolutely incredible. I tell you, when I saw the Braves bring in their guy Wander Suaro, I saw him go in there to throw about I would almost classify as uncompetitive pitches. Like it was just like a 91-mile-an-hour fastball and cutter that didn't do anything over the plate. I was like, holy shoot, Kyle's gonna get up there and he's gonna mash one of those. And little did we know, in 3 pitches, off the facing of the upper deck for number 4, whole city putting the city of Philadelphia on his back after what was a rough Mets series. We'll get to that later. I'd say electric night for an electric man. Obviously, it's all about paying the man this offseason. I mean, is the numbers? I mean, we were thinking, is it like, I don't know, 4 years, 120 million? If you're thinking, if we paid him back in spring training, that number might be blown out of the water now. You might be thinking at least 180 million plus now for another 4-year contract. But obviously, those negotiations, when it comes to this contract, that's really a off-season focus after the season for now. But I tell you, all around, just the man. It's like he's been everything the Phillies could have asked for. A dream of a contract that he signed with us back in 2022. And I tell you, I think last night might be probably the moment of the regular season for the Phillies when it comes to just historic things. Like we will no matter how the season ends, we're gonna look back on Kyle Schwarber's 4 home run game. We're gonna remember where we were when we saw that. All around electric.
And yeah, this has been the story of his season. 49 home runs leads the team, leads the National League, one away from the MLB lead. 119 RBIs, leads Major League Baseball. A 956 OPS this season, which is in the top 5 in the major leagues. And he is really making a push as we speak. Excuse me, the 956 OPS is third in Major League Baseball. And Kyle Schwarber is making a push to be the National League MVP. And after last night, I don't know how he isn't National League MVP with what he did and really what he's done throughout the year, which has considerably carried the Phillies. He had a tough 2 series after Seattle. He had a tough series against the Nationals and then struggled in New York against the Mets. But all of that put aside, what he did last night, honestly, I'd say makes up for what happened over those last 6 games. And if he can continue to do this throughout the next month, well, I think that Ryan Howard record is probably going to be gone. And Kyle Schwarber could break. He has a chance for 60, I think, at the pace he's at. He only needs 11 more home runs. And with how he hits home runs, I think there's a realistic chance that that happens.
Yeah, that's 60 burgers definitely on the table. I mean, I look at it. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes in the right round where Ryan Howard finished at 57, 58. Because you never know how much this team. They could take a step backwards once when playoffs are clinched and everything. Even though Kyle is probably the last guy that gets time off, let's say. And then obviously, the MVP case. We've been talking about it for a while now. I think if they do somehow give it to Shohei Ohtani, well, it'll be because he sells more jerseys and brings more attention to the game from overseas. But the MLB will give you the excuse, Kyle Schwarber only hits 250. Yeah, don't care about that. The dude's amazing. And I tell you, Kyle Schwarber MVP for Philadelphia the Phillies to have two MVPs in the span of 5 seasons. That is pretty special to have. That's an underrated thing. We'd have to look back when we look on this core. When we look back at the memories of this core that we produced MVP level players. And
Piggybacking off of the points on Schwarber, uh, he did have his struggles in the Mets series, but that you could say that about the whole team. I would say, and going based off of uh, what has happened over these past couple of weeks, his importance to what's going to happen over these next couple of weeks and to the Phillies winning the division, with the fact that their magic number to win the division is now 24. Uh, he's going to be a big part of that happening and really being achieved. Without Kyle Schwarber, the Phillies wouldn't be in the position they are right now, and they wouldn't be in the position they hope to be in October and maybe even go into November. And that would be a big deal for Kyle Schwarber to be a part of that, and he has to be a part of that. Right now, the line's probably going to stay how it is. Trey at the seven. I mean, Trey at the one spot. Kyle at two. I think that's the best option the Phillies have at this point. It's worked all season. It definitely worked last night. The offense exploded for 7 home runs, which ties a franchise record. Um, Even with the four that Schwarber hit, Bryce Harper went deep. You had Max Kepler go deep. You had JT Realmuto go deep. Harrison Bader was a home run away from the cycle. So all around, uh, the Phillies were able to really do damage last night. Their offense wasn't there in New York, but was able to come around, come back, and able to come through against Atlanta for a game one. And hopefully this continues throughout the series. It would be a big sweep if they could win all the next 3 games against the Atlanta Braves.
Obviously, this is what's turned into a weak Braves team. I mean, I saw last night. I pointed out how pathetic Wander Suarez looked out there. Cal Quantrill's a guy the Phillies have seen for a third time this season, and he hasn't gotten better after each time. You find getting these guys that leave pitches over the plate and just bad pitches over the plate. Do what you're supposed to against them. Can go a long way, not just on the scoreboard, but for team morale. So I'm sure. Hopefully, last night, yeah, obviously, boys don't get cocky. You got tonight. You got 6.12 ERA. Bryce Elder on the mound. Last time we faced Bryce Elder, it was 11-0 after 3 innings. Now, obviously, rain delayed game and everything, but hey, keep piling on. You could almost give what we'd say. Oh, run it back like the Mariners series was. Obviously, it's offensive baseball. I'd like to bring back a point you said about Harrison Bader being a home run away from the cycle. Uh, all of a sudden, since he got here, and 67 at bats, he's batting 313. It's been pretty much a month now since Harrison Bader has joined the team. He was at first slow start, but hey, you love to see it. And considering that the Phillies could pick up his club option next year, hey, I think as of right now, I'm interested. But there's still plenty of baseball to be played. Obviously, for Harrison Bader, left in the Phillies uniform, even some more postseason ball, which he does have that experience. And I think and he's a guy that obviously you talked about, yeah, Kyle Schwarber being a part of when you celebrate potentially winning this division. I would like to see a Harrison Bader in there because the reinforcements he has brought since being traded here, it's also gone a long way to contributing to these winning streaks. That's all. Eventually, like you say, open the floodgates in this division gap now, which has become 5 games. I mean, everybody wishes this could have been like, oh, it's 8 or 9 after that Mets series. To really address some of that Mets series, I have to. A lot of people are upset with Rob Thompson. Like, think, oh, the urgency. Like, damn, we can never win in Queens. I mean, I've lost track of how many straight they've lost at Citi Field now. I don't entirely blame Rob Thompson for trying to keep his players like, hey, do not let the emotions of this series get over you or letting this place try to anger you from last season, because at the end of the day, it is a regular season game against the Mets, and it doesn't and you don't get revenge for last season in a regular season series, obviously. And so I think he believes that, hey, no, this is another regular season series, and obviously the Phillies just came out flat from that. I just hopefully don't see the same from them when it gets to the postseason. I don't really buy the fact that, oh, they legitimately think they're like mentally cursed when they walk into the orange and blue stadium of Queens. But obviously, like, I think guys, they just believe, no, it's beat them at the right time, which we say every week pretty much about winning the right time. I also got tip my clap. Sorry, tip my cap to Norman McLean. That dude, nasty pitching. Like, it was I thought maybe we put an end to this little insanity run. No, Nolan McLean, that dude went out there, and that dude has been special so far for New York. And I would hate to see the Phillies have to see him again anytime soon.
Well, I think the hope, and I think everybody shares the same hope, is that the Phillies won't see the Mets until well, they'll play them in Philadelphia for the four-game series in a couple weeks. And that'll be the last time they see them until 2026. Because, yes, they've struggled against the Mets. I don't think that's something that's in their head necessarily, but at the same time, that's not a team it's not a team you really want to see. You see them enough throughout the year where at this point, you're more than fine without seeing them the rest of the way, I think. And I think if the Phillies can, really keep this divisional lead at where it is, and then also win games throughout the next couple weeks and expand their lead against the NL West leading team, which currently is the Dodgers, but could end up being the Padres. That would be also really big for them. Okay, I think the two seed is what you want. You don't really want to have to play in the wild card because you have to use your starters become different throughout those before the NLDS because you do not have Zach Wheeler. So instead of having Christopher Sanchez for game one of the NLDS, at best you would have him for game two, which would potentially have him have one last start in that series. So I think the importance of the Phillies comes down to really honing in on winning games right here. The Mets issue, we'll figure it out for that. They don't have to go to Citi Field. They're not guaranteed to go back to Citi Field until late June of next year, with the schedule just coming out. So I think the Phillies are fine at Citi Field. They've won a lot of games at Citi Field. They've clinched the postseason last year, was at Citi Field. So I don't think it's more of a player issue. I think it's obviously it's glaring that the Phillies have lost that many games in Citi Field, but people forget the Mets are a very good team. They're not, they've been struggling recently, but they are still one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. No matter how much you like them, no matter how much they struggle, when you look at their roster up and down, there's very few rosters better than what the New York Mets have. The Phillies lost to a very good team in the three-game series. They got swept. This second time they've gotten swept this year by a very good team. And those things happen throughout the year. The Phillies, this is the first time they've been swept in a little bit of time. So really the biggest thing for the Phillies is, they know what's in front of them. They know who they have to play. The Mets and Citi Field are behind them for now. So if they could just focus on what they have to focus on, they'll be in a great position.
There's that too, and also you think some people try to tell you, oh shoot, you gave like, oh damn, you gave life to the New York Mets who were struggling. You could have put away the division. I remember I brought up the point last episode about, hey, the Mets are kind of reminding me of last year's Phillies, where you had this incredible start to a season, like almost record breaking, and then the dog days of summer came in, and it's just you're winning streaks, and you have you get some of these good wins, and you still have these losing streaks, and there's playing like almost sub 500 baseball, let's say. The Mets, I'm not sure what their record is in like the past, what is it, 50 games or so. But either way, I think what I feel like the sweep for the Mets could have gone in. This could be, I could sound completely biased here. It could go in a way when I saw the Phillies last season, almost around this time of the year when we swept the Braves at home, or in like it was a 4-game series, or won at least 3 out of 4. So and I mean obviously everything wasn't okay after that, but during that series though everything, oh no, the Phillies, no, we're back. This team is fine. So I think, who knows, you could playing some mental games with the Mets there. I still think they could be a ticking time bomb for what could be a failure of a season for them. But obviously, yeah, it sucks to get swept. But who knows? Maybe you just gave them a little bit of false hope. And sorry to correct myself. No, the Phillies actually took 3 out of 4 in that series against the Braves. I just checked. So yeah, the Mets, again, division's still there, but hey, they have jobs to do on their end. They can't always be looking towards us. And
Yeah,
I think obviously, sorry, go ahead.
I don't see a world where the Mets do win this division. And anyway, no matter what happens, in the four-game series in Philadelphia or what just happened, I just don't see, they have a very hard schedule in the month of September, starting after this Miami series. They got to go to Detroit. They got to play the Cincinnati Reds. They got to play the Cubs. They got to play the Padres. Got to play the Phillies. So, they're playing all playoff teams the whole month. They have to play the Texas Rangers, who have been playing good baseball. So they have to play playoff teams the whole month of September. But while the Phillies, they have, they don't have the easiest schedule, but they have a much easier schedule, and they currently have the division lead while the Mets are losing games to the Marlins. So that I just don't see a world where the New York Mets can win the division of the Philadelphia Phillies this year.
Obviously, and now there was potentially the uh, idea that, oh shoot, the Mets could the New York not even make the playoffs? Which I think now they're 4 games above the Reds. I think that that dream is put to sleep. That narrative also put to sleep. That means that gives the Phillies also. That means they have a magic number to clinch the playoffs now. I believe it's now 22. Which, hey, keep rolling ahead. You also made the point about having that maybe a top 2 seed get that bye week, avoid the wild card series with how it works with your playoff pitchers. And obviously, yeah, they're right there neck and neck with the Dodgers, set 77 and 57. Obviously, I don't think neither team's going to catch up to the Brewers. So, and it potentially, yeah, between San Diego or Los Angeles to be the number 2 seed, that would mean the Phillies would likely have to get the number 6 seed. So that easily could be the Mets if they do stay as the 6 seed, right there in a divisional round, where all of a sudden you're back at the same exact spot as last year. But that's that. So yeah, the standings or whatever the standings are. We make this point almost every episode. Like you're gonna whoever your opponent is your opponent. You got to play your A+ baseball to move on. So that's why I sometimes don't even stress. I'm not sure that's why Rob Thompson was stressed that much this past series in New York, obviously. Obviously, not to think about playoffs and that with Philly, they still have a big series we were talking about this week against the Atlanta Braves. Obviously tonight is we were talking about AJ or no, not AJ. Bryce Elder on the mound, and then who's also pitching this upcoming weekend for Atlanta?
Oh yeah, Chris Sale tomorrow is going to be making his return off the IL, and the Phillies have seen him a lot, of course. He's making his return tomorrow against the Phillies and Christopher Sanchez on the mound for us. And then Sunday Night Baseball in Philadelphia, Huston Waldrop is making his start. He pitched very well in the Speedway Classic, and then has pitched well since for the Braves, and that is against Jesus Luzardo. And then tonight for the Phillies will be Ranger Suarez.
I mean, of course, obviously, yeah, pitching matchups are always in the Phillies' favor. Just you never know what could happen now. So obviously, again, still some good pitching matchups like the Phillies. Like yeah, you still got this Braves team, even as much as they are crumbling, they're still going to serve you a challenge against them. So be my guest. And obviously, after that is the series that a lot of people have been looking forward to, where the Phillies take a trip up north to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to meet again with this red hot Brewers team. Pitching lineups are not out yet. I believe the Phillies would have to face Freddie Peralta in the series. Am I wrong?
It would line up that he would pitch in the third game of the series. As of right now, with the Braves playing, the Brewers are in Toronto this weekend, so it would line up that he would get the third game of that series. The other matchups, as of right now, are TBD. But while looking at it, for the Phillies, it will be Taiwan Walker will pitch game one of this series. Aaron Nola would pitch game two, and game three would go to Ranger Suarez. That would be the pitching matchups, at least on the Philly side. Uh, I'm not sure if we're gonna have to see the Miz at any point this weekend. Quinn Priester, we won't have to see, and Brandon Woodruff, we won't have to see. So it would light up that Jacob Mizorowski will be pitching against the Phillies. Looks like also Jose Quintana would also be getting a start at some point in this stretch against the Phillies. So these are pitchers the Phillies have seen, only besides with the exception of Mizorowski, if he is making a start on Monday. That would be the day he would start. So we'll be interested to see what they decide to do, how they are able to attack Jacob Mizorowski, and what goes into that. But that's also a very important date because that is September 1st, and that is September call-ups. And the Phillies have a couple decisions to make. Since we last recorded, they've made two big moves in their bullpen, releasing Joe Ross and putting Jordan Romano on the 15-day IL. And that also being, they called up Daniel Robert, and they selected the contractor Lou Trevino from the Iron Pigs. So now that is basically their brand new two bullpen arms, and they are going to make an addition before they go to Milwaukee. The question is of who will be the addition in between Max Lazar. You have other guys down in AAA who have been pitching well out of the bullpen. They also have guys on the offensive side of the ball, position players in between Johan Rojas and Otto Kemp, and deciding who gets the call of September. So who are you thinking right now would get the call?
To get the call, I think position player wise, it likely will be Johan Rojas. The way they like their defense, even though he wouldn't have a shot. It could be depending on what they still think of Weston Wilson. For now. Besides that, I think yeah, Max Lazar feels like who's likely will be the first guy up. Bullpen wise, at Lehigh Valley, I think the Lou Trevino's here. They're just waiting for him to have a few more blow up starts. They're right here, just shave off innings when we need it. It's just the type of guys you're gonna be looking for right now. Obviously, Jordan Romano's that guy getting pretty much the Phantom IL stint. Obviously, yeah, it doesn't get much happier for him. Unfortunately, I respect him for at least somehow still even having confidence at this point with the rough season he's had. But hey, sometimes seasoned veterans are built like that. To go back to your point, though, you made about the Brewers series, about seeing Jacob Mizorowski, I would really hope that the Phillies do get. I've mentioned this before earlier in prior episodes. Any of these like pitchers that come out here throwing some gas and just some unbelievable pitches, I would dearly hope that the Phillies see them at first in the regular season, Zach, because who knows where because Mizorowski one day, however much of a star this guy could be, there's another guy that the Phillies they might see in bigger games later in the season, whether it's this year or in future years. And who knows, we could have a Jacob Mizorowski versus Andrew Painter All Star, like Cy Young battle in future years. You never know, or potential playoff matchup in years to come. So obviously, I would really want to have the Phillies get a look at Mizorowski because again, some of these pitchers are just unbelievably insane. But hey, as I said, I would not want the Phillies to see most of these Phillies lineup to see him for the first time in an October series. But anyways, back to what you said about September call-ups. Obviously, yeah, the Phillies. They're going to be looking at this just for as pretty much back end players like here can to get outs for us, be the extra bench guy for the last month, even potentially guys to play, say after the Phillies clinch the playoffs or potential first round bye. Get guys here that they want to sub in, just get some major league playing time because obviously they will want to sit guys like Trey and not have to pitch arms like say Strom, or obviously they won't want to pitch Duran that much, or even Kerkering, and pretty much all the top bullpen guys in that final, let's say 2 week stretch. So yeah, obviously, I don't even mind who it is exactly. Just you need a body out there like here, be the guy. Yeah, shave off some innings when we need it.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting who they decide to call up. There's been rumors about certain players going on Phantom IL to protect their innings. I do not think the Phillies will end up doing that in between now and the end of the season, but it will be interesting to see how the Phillies and Rob Thompson manage who's coming out of the pen and how much they're working over these next couple of weeks.
For sure, for sure. And obviously, everybody tries to think, oh, could this be Justin Crawford calling up? And I think at that point now, Justin Crawford, like, I even made that point clear in prior episodes. Justin Crawford will not be a Philadelphia Philly in 2025. I'm very much open to seeing him in the 2026 season, and potentially maybe if he even gets some chance in the Arizona Fall League if he's at all interested. But even though that's not much of a thing for AAA players to do, but obviously, Justin Crawford would love to see him next spring and in the future. But no, I think for that rookie there, again, this was something that people were saying after the Mets series. Whoa, the Phillies offense needs a spark. No, it is not a 20-hour-old or 22-year-old Justin Crawford. Is there's no spot for him on this team currently. So obviously, yeah, next arm, if it is a position player, it should be Johan Rojas, and then for the bullpen guy, obviously another back end guy like Max Lazar.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see how they use Justin Crawford over the next couple months. He's been hitting for more power down in AAA Lehigh Valley. He's been playing better in Lehigh Valley over these last couple of weeks. But that I would be shocked if they do decide to call Justin Crawford up before the end of this season, just because yeah, he does have a spot on this team right now. If there was a time they would have done it a couple weeks ago around the August 15th deadline for him to keep his eligibility as a rookie for next season. But at this point, I cannot see the Phillies making the call unless they have to. Because let's say someone goes down with an injury or something like that. That's the same case with Andrew Painter. I think they wouldn't call either of them up unless they have to. And I think that's the right move for the Phillies.
Very much so. And I don't even think, even if there's an injury like right now, I think Johan Rojas is that first guy up. Well, obviously, as we said, for September call-ups, so maybe not. But there could be even, they might just could be a decision, all right, they will keep Weston Wilson around for that sake. or even other, or potentially Otto Kemp could come back. They might even consider that before, just because of how fragile and much they want to take care of, and pretty much baby Justin Crawford as a first round pick. But obviously, that's Dombrowski's decision there, and there's not much to say. But I trust whatever decision they will indeed make. Any other points though for between now and the next series that before our next episode?
Well, not really. Just the biggest thing would be interesting to see how the Phillies play against the Milwaukee Brewers, because this will now actually be the second time they missed Christopher Sanchez, and they didn't face Zach Wheeler the first time around in Philadelphia when they swept the Philadelphia Phillies. It's the only major opponent that the Phillies, not including the Mets, that they've been swept by against this season. So it will definitely be interesting to see how they match up when it comes to this week, next weekend, beginning of next week, and that series. And then also depending on who the Phillies decides to call up at the September call-ups, that will also be interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see how they are able to attack the last three games of this series against the Atlanta Braves tonight at 6:45. That is on Apple TV. Next week, tomorrow night, 6:05 start on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and then Sunday night, 7:10 on ESPN. So two more national games throughout the rest of the weekend. Then they go to Milwaukee for three. Uh, some weird start times in there: a 3 o'clock game, a day off, and a night game and day game. So we'll definitely be interested to see how the Phillies are able to go and attack before they go down to South Beach next weekend. But yeah, unless you have any points, we can start wrapping this one up.
I mean, yeah, obviously last point. I think, yeah, Phillies try. I really want to see them sweep the rest of this Braves series here, and then I look Milwaukee series. However that turns out, if they can only win one of the three games there, again, it happens. I can tolerate that. Just get out of this series, and here, just yeah, keep winning series and just keep having these plus records over, like, let's say, a 10 game span, and hey, that it'll make it hard for New York Mets to catch up and for other teams to sustain standings lead. But yeah, with that, I have no other points for today's episode.
Alrighty, so thank you everyone for listening to episode number 7 of the State of Finance podcast. See you in the next one.
Thank you guys.